Anything else we need to add? Take away?
I'm not sure if it's, I don't think it's really adding or taking away. This is John with the Hub office again. I will say that in the past week, we've had 2 Hub vendor orientations, and we've got, one was on Purchasing 101 with the state, and another was on construction contracting. We've got another one coming up this week. I believe it's Monday, on finances or access to capital. And I think we may be doing another Purchasing 101, but we've also got several of these Hub vendor orientations on our website under the business resources section. We've got a video recap set area, and we've recorded several of the sessions, both on just certifications, how to get certified as a Hub, as well as the Purchasing 101. We may have a couple of others out there that might be specific to Hub vendors as well. We've got some on reporting for quarterly reporting that I collect, but that wouldn't necessarily be terribly helpful or relevant to Hub firms.
Absolutely. So just that list alone shows that the Hub office has a great wealth of resources available for our small business firms. And it's extremely beneficial to them that they realize that resource is there so that they can use it. Because at the end of the day, our ultimate goal across the board is to increase our minority vendor participation and access and opportunity to public contracting. So thank you for your continued efforts to the Hub office. And so with that being said, I do want to transition us quickly to the last and final slide, which is actually a template that was developed by our very own Miss Kelly Bauer in conjunction with EO143 and being able to comply with the reporting requirements around that particular executive order. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Kelly Bauer.
Good morning. So this is a form that I created just to help us track projects and the fact that we are complying with the executive order and inviting at least one Hub vendor to submit a bid for us. So the information is based on, from the state purchasing office, the information that they wanted collected. So it includes the project number, the name of your project, the bid method, which often for the ones under 250,000 is going to be by invitation or perhaps an RFP or RFQ. It identifies who your apparent low bidder is and the contract amount and the scope of the work. And it just outlines a little bit about who those that were invited to participate in the bid were, what their bid amounts were, whether or not those firms are Hub certified, and what their bid was. So this is ideally information that we would love to see tracked in Interscope, perhaps like a bid tab where that information is collected, whether they are Hub certified is automatically identified, and that compliance with EO143 has been achieved. Down at the bottom, you'll see a few other items that might apply to the project that might affect whether or not you have Hub participation. One of the things, if you're advertising on the Hub website, that's a good thing to indicate just to show that you did that outreach step. Perhaps the project was subject to a state contract, which would probably be an exemption because it's an existing contract. Perhaps your organization has a service contract that's in effect. If it's an emergency purchase order, that might be something that the state office would take into consideration in approving the order. And then there's just a little bit of that you can check that there's no Hub vendor participation, and that's when you need to get the approval from the Secretary of State. And it has the email address on there so you know where to send that. There's a little place for comments, and then you get your signature from your project manager and whoever your Hub compliance officer is would also sign off on it. And that should ideally be attached to any purchase order requisitions just to ensure that you did your Executive Order 143 compliance. And again, this is ideally information that we would like to see tracked in the database, so that sort of automates that process. And we would love to see a form like this be universal from one of the state agencies, so that it's consistent across the board for all organizations.
Kelly, this is John Gunther with the Hub Office again.
Hi.
We had an Interscope Plus team meeting this Wednesday, and we were discussing this aspect of EO143 and what we might need to do in capturing that. And it kind of sounded along the lines of what you were expressing, that you would hope it might sound like. I mean, we haven't met yet, so we haven't decided the design of it, but it is to capture the bids and to determine if they had a hub vendor in there. So I think that's good that we happen to be going along in the same direction that you're asking.
And as I mentioned, ideally, we would like to see something come down from the state. We're not sure which agency that would be, because there's so many involved between the hub office, purchasing, and gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, and the state construction office. So ideally, we would like to see it be uniform, so that we're all collecting the same data and ensuring compliance.
So again, Kelly, with local governments, such as Stacy was saying with school, we already do this when we have an informal bid. So I'm just trying to, I think we're just lost I wanted to say lost in the sauce, but I think we're just lost when it comes to what we're doing statewide, because you got to look at what local government is doing and what state agencies have to comply to. We're already, when we have informal bids or formal bids, we're already getting that procurement information from them. Most of the time we're sending out one, out of every 3 bids, 1 to a hub vendor. So is this something that we could also use to track that, or are we tracking it just to be tracking it? Who is going to audit this information in the end? I guess that's my question.
And I'll have to defer to someone from the hub office to answer that question.
Well, this is John again. What I would say is that, I guess I could share my video too, is that EO143, when it's talking about the requirements, it's about the bids that you get, not necessarily the good faith efforts that you make to reach out to vendors. And everybody may understand that. I just wanted to make sure that it was about what you receive, not what you do to get bids. My understanding is at the state agency level and the universities and the community colleges that if they do not have a bidder, that they need to reach out to the state construction office and request an exemption, and they have to explain why they didn't get any bids and and what they did in order to seek out those bids. And it could be that state construction will offer some guidance on that, but I am not from the state construction office, and they're managing that process. So at least on the construction side, on the goods and services side, P&C, Purchase and Contract, and DOA is the agency that is managing that part of it. And I believe they've got some fairly detailed documents that talk about how to go through EO143 and how it applies to goods and services purchases. I'm not totally sure that answers your question, but that's what I have to offer.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, John, for that, but it's still not addressing the local government question, because we all feel that we really don't have anything in that EO143 that applies to us. I think that's what the question is, because we're dealing with two different things here for local government and then for state agencies. Just like the reporting into the hub databases it's a little bit confusing for both, even though we're all supposed to do it and follow those guidelines, but we don't have any guidance for local government that says you have to do this, like state agencies do.
And Pam, you bring up a good point, and this executive order is just that. It's an executive order that impacts those state agencies. And really, I think what you're alluding to is the necessity of some sort of legislative action that would really impact local governments. And that's what I think would have to occur in order for this to impact local governments.
I wish Norma Houston were here with us. She would probably be able to answer that question very quickly.
Absolutely. And this is a question I've written down as an action item to be able to follow up on so we can get some guidance. And John, more than likely, we will reach out to Norma in regards to this particular piece to get some input from her on. So with that being said, Kelly, we appreciate your willingness to show us your work product and walk us through it. And I'm glad we were able to get some feedback and engagement from the group on it. But with that being said, that concludes this particular workshop. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your engagement. This has been enlightening. What we will do is actually take this this engagement, plus all of our other discussions and responses we've had from our previous events, and compile it into one document that will showcase the coordinators network recommendations around EO143 and how we can best move forward and be able to continue the conversation. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Carla Daniels to close us out.
Thank you, Danae, and thanks everyone. I know that I saw a question in the chat about receiving a copy of Kelly's form, and we'll make sure that you all get that information. We are excited about this conference and all of the information we've been able to bring to you all over yesterday afternoon and then again this morning. I hope you guys have been able to take away some really great information that you can apply today to your practice as a hub program manager, a diversity and inclusion specialist, a business owner, any of those pieces. I'm really energized by what we've been able to hear both yesterday afternoon and again today. So thank you all for your time and attention. I do want to show off our video just one last time, and following the video, our president, Denisha Harris, will close the conference. So hang in there with us a little bit longer and just a couple more minutes, and then we will adjourn once Denisha is finished with her comments and get ready for next year. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come before you and give a few brief closing thoughts. First, I just want to thank Danae for leading that last session. We wanted to end this conference with a way that we can use all of this knowledge and experience that we have gained over the past 2 days as a call to action. We are talking about real life, present day issues and concerns and how we're going to move the needle forward. So that was our exercise in learning how to be an influencer. So thank you for that. Thank you, Danae. Also, I want to thank you all for joining us for this 2020 first virtual conference. This is our first opportunity to meet in a virtual way to prepare a conference of opportunity to learn, to engage. And I just want to say, this has been a delightful, wonderful last 2 days. It has been informative. It's been engaging. It has been inspiring. All of these things we've been able to enjoy, and of course, uplifting. So we are just so excited to have this opportunity to present this to you. I took some notes and I had some common themes that I felt were meandering throughout these 2 days. First, be sure that you have a plan. Be strategic. Set goals and be intentional about reaching them. Also, make sure to couple your passion with precision. It's important to have a two-edged sword. Also, never settle. Live your greatness and embrace your genius. Everything you are looking for is just outside of your comfort zone. And then finally, everything you need is within you. Build relationships in a highly efficient network and trust the process. These last 2 days have provided valuable takeaways and wisdom nuggets that I hope each of you will take with you, both in your professional and your personal lives. You are diversity influencers, and you are a force to be reckoned with. This conference would not have been possible without our sponsors, so I do want to take one last opportunity to thank them for fueling this conference. This conference was powered by NCDOT. Thank you so much for your support. Our champion sponsors include the North Carolina Education Lottery, Clancy and Bays, J.E. Dunn, Skanska, and the City of Greenville. Thank you for being a diversity champion. And our diversity leaders, All for One Inclusion Innovators, and SAS. Also, our advocate sponsor, Mitchell Consulting Group, and our partner, Wake County Public Schools. We thank you so much for believing in us, knowing that your dollars help bring forward this great education and experience. Also, I'd like to take the time to thank our programs committee. And if you all have the time and can, please show your videos so we can see your faces. We want to thank these very important people who have worked diligently and tirelessly to bring this conference to you. We would like to thank Vernetta Mitchell. We would like to thank Pamela Gales. We would like to thank Candace Kurtz, Tony Phillips, China Green. And if I missed anyone, Carla, you just tap me on the shoulder. But I think I got everybody. Thank you all so much for putting in the time, energy, and effort to bring this conference together. And I would like to give a virtual round of applause to Ms. Carla Daniels. I think Ms. Carla Daniels deserves that round of applause because she has led the charge and she has done a fantastic job of putting this conference together. And I appreciate you personally. And I know that this entire board and this network appreciates you as well. So thank you. Also, I would like to thank once more our Oz, our person behind the scenes, Miss Sydney Coles. Thank you so much for being our tech support. I know you have worked many hours and I know that you have been communicating with all of us via text and via email and messages, and you've done so with grace and with dignity. So thank you so much for allowing us to use you and be a part of this community so that we can bring this conference to our attendees. You are awesome. You're wonderful. Thank you. Also, we would like to thank Substantial Brand Magazine and Gregory Hedgepeth for your graphic design work. If you have not already done so, as Vernetta mentioned in her opening, please download the conference booklet, AKA the program brochure. In that, you will have all of the sponsorship information, the speaker presenter information, and you'll have something that you can take away. So when you want to remember all the great things you learned at this conference, you can refer back to that booklet. It is located in the document section of the Whova app, so you can download it there. Finally, and absolutely not in the least, I want to thank all of our attendees. You all are the reason why we do this. We are so thankful to have you. To those who this is your first conference, we hope it will not be your last. We absolutely thank you for being here today. And for those network members who maybe this is your 10th or your 15th conference, we thank you so much for attending and for being a part of this and for to continue to support the network. And so now I'm going to leave you with some parting words. And to do this, I'm going to draw on an experience I had with one of my great mentors, Andrea Harris, who I know was one of all of our mentors. I was at a meeting in Greensboro, actually, when I had recently become the vice president of the network. I was very young in the game, little intimidated, because I was sitting at a table with all of these influencers, and then there was little old me. Andrea Harris was at the podium, and we know that she was small in stature, but great in presence. And she was speaking to the entire audience. But in the middle of her presentation, she looked at me. At least I think that's what happened. She looked at me and she said to me, "Whenever you're at a table, always act like you belong there." And I've taken those words with me, and I have remembered from that point on that wherever you are, and I will say wherever God has allowed me to be, know that you have been sent there and you have been put there and that you belong there. So you are an influencer, so you have to act like it. I thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate you, and I will see you at the next quarterly meeting. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.